The following program is sponsored by Your Credit Matters. Now, live in studio, teaching you what the big banks, credit bureaus, and the mainstream media don't want you to know about your finances, your credit, and how to have a debt-free life so you can start living the life you've always wanted. You're listening to Your Credit Matters, heard daily on KPRZ at 6:30 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Your host, author, speaker, and local credit expert, Rhondy Lambeth. Now, here's Rhondy.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Your Credit Matters. I'm your host, Rhondy Lambeth, certified FICO credit professional, author, and speaker, and your local credit expert, bringing to you each and every day what I think the banks, the credit bureaus, the collection companies, what I think they don't want you to know, what they don't want you to know, how the game actually works behind closed doors, how there's over 200, you heard me, 200 laws that protect you and I from the banks, from the credit bureaus, from the collection companies. How they don't want you to know about these laws, how they want to keep you in the dark, keep you confused, and keep you in chains. Because if you're in debt to them, they are your master. And there's a simple fix to that. Two options. You either pay them, or you hire someone like my friend Sean Doan that legally and permanently discharges that debt through federal court system. Speaking of that, Sean Doan is in the studio with me. Sean, you're with the Doan Law family. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, Ronnie. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So, Sean, you help people each and every day, literally each and every day, get out of debt.
Yes, sir.
Discharge their debts, their credit cards, their collections, their hospital bills.
We help them get a fresh start in life.
Get a fresh start in life to basically Control, Alt, Delete, and start over.
A reboot.
A reboot.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
A hard reboot.
A hard reboot.
Not a soft reboot, but a hard reboot.
They hard reboot. They get a second chance, allows them to relax, allows them to sleep at night, to finally get a good night's sleep, allows them to literally pick up the phone without the stress of who's going to be calling them.
You know what it really allows them to do, is it allows them to be a more productive citizen.
And that's it. That's why the law is there. It allows you to be productive. Because with this 1,000-pound backpack of rocks or debt that is weighing you down, that's mentally, physically, and emotionally destroying you, they literally everybody you surround yourself with. Yeah. I mean, you've seen that, right? They come into your office, they're miserable. You can tell by looking at them. When you look in their eyes, they're absolutely miserable. Yeah. And they leave, they're a different person.
Completely different person.
They go home.
If they get it.
If they don't buy into the bank's manipulation and the media's manipulation and the brainwashing that they've gone through their entire life, and they can understand how the law is set up to protect them. If they get it, when they leave your office, they're a whole different person.
Right.
They can start over, get a fresh start, start contributing, start spending more time with their family and their loved ones, and get on with their life. So the way they do that is through Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy most of the time, and that's what you help them do.
We help people file for bankruptcy, but we're a lot more broad than that. I mean, we help people with financial problems, period. So, Chapter 7, Chapter 13, those are tools in the tool chest that we can throw out. But there's several tools, and there's one tool I'm really excited about right now, and that's with the second mortgages. I know we talked about stripping them in a prior show, but we're starting to settle second mortgages right now, and that is incredibly exciting because there's a lot of people with second mortgages that are, probably upside down with those second mortgages, and they don't need to file bankruptcy. We can eliminate the second mortgages.
So how does that happen? I mean, they don't need to file bankruptcy, But they still need to come in and talk with you to figure out how to do this.
Yeah, you definitely have to come in and talk.
So it's a free consultation.
Free consultation. We can do it over the phone, email. I've done email consultations. Okay. But yeah, we just got to kind of see. We got to diagnose you first, see what the problem is, and then we can offer you the treatment and get you back in whole again.
I like that. When I talk to people, they call me and they say, "How do I fix my credit?" And I said, back up a little bit. Think of me as the doctor. You don't just call the doctor and say, "I got a broken leg. How do you fix it?" You got to come in. We got to do x-rays. We got to diagnose the problem. And then we're going to come up with a treatment plan. So that's what you do. It's a free consultation. You go in, they meet with you. You come up with the plan. You give it back to them. It's whether or not they want to do it.
Exactly. At that point, we go over what it entails to retain the law firm and move forward with it.
So how do you eliminate a second mortgage? So I don't want to file bankruptcy. I make a ton of money, but I got a second mortgage that's upside down on a house. So I owe $700,000 on my home. It's worth $500,000. $500's on the first, $200's on the second. How do you fix that problem for me?
To be honest with you, we're negotiating it. We contact the second lender and we negotiate a payoff. We settle it.
So you settled the debt.
Like a short sale.
So it's like a short sale.
But they're not leaving their home.
Without going through a short sale.
Exactly.
So on the credit report, it would be reported as settled for less than full balance.
Usually.
Yeah. So they don't go through foreclosure. They don't do a bankruptcy. They don't do a short sale. They hire you and you settle the debt for less than what they owe. What is a good example? I mean, is it a penny on the dollar? Is it 50 pennies on a dollar? I mean, where does it usually come in at on average?
I'll give you an example. We settled one, actually this week. It was a $75,000 HELOC. We settled for $5,400.
Hold on.
$75,000.
$75,000 home equity line of credit.
$5,400.
$5,400. That's how much they paid you, or that's how much it was settled for?
No, that's how much it was settled for.
$5,400.
$5,400.
So that literally saved them $70,000. And they didn't have to file bankruptcy.
Didn't have to file bankruptcy.
Didn't have to miss payments.
No risk in doing it, really.
Because either
they didn't. I mean, my fee. They don't have to pay us if we're not successful. There's a small retainer fee for us to negotiate.
Okay. But, what's the retainer fee? Just so people have an idea.
Between $200 and $500.
Okay, so I give you $500 to take a chance to save $70,000
or more.
Or more. Yeah, that was just on that example. That is a good return on investment.
I've seen HELOCs for $300,000-$400,000, San Diego.
Absolutely, yeah, and so at $75,000 HELOC at $5,400, that literally is like 0.7 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, it's about 6 or 7 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, so they pay it, and then the lien is stripped off.
They will remove the lien.
They remove the lien.
Right.
Put on the credit report, settle less than full balance, which, by the way, does not affect your credit score. One bit, not one single point, because it's in that memo field of the credit report. So as long as they don't miss any payments, it doesn't affect the credit score at all.
Oh, that's incredible.
So they can do this settlement with you, no risk whatsoever. They pay you a small retainer, a couple $100, $500, depending on the case. Eliminate $70,000 with this one. But if they got I'll give you. I won't say his name on the radio, but he has a $1.5 million second mortgage on a house that's upside down. So you could settle that as well.
Absolutely, that is ripe for settlement. Whatever investor sitting on that is probably going to want to take whatever you're offering, especially if the property's here in San Diego.
So they take what you offer. They pay you a percentage of what they save. And everybody, they know this up front, right? Do you let them know, hey, this is how much we're going to charge you if we get it done. You only pay us if we're successful.
Yes, everything's spelled out and made clear. It's called the retainer agreement.
It's not these debt settlement companies that you see on TV or hear on XMM radio and that you send them a check for $5,000 and
I hear a new one every day.
Every day. I get that every day. I get phone calls from listeners that they got the latest and best scam.
I just don't get it. I haven't figured out what they're doing, if it's just the same company with a new name every 2 months.
I know that in my industry with credit repair, it's the same it's the same person. They open up new companies.
Yeah.
They get chased off. They open a new company. They get chased off. Open, and it's just the normal scam. And the scams have been out there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's just a new scam. So with your system, they pay you. They meet with you for free. You give them their options, figure out if you can do it, and you can look at. You can tell them pretty much up front the chances of them qualifying, right?
Right.
I mean, you're going to know by looking at the bank
Right.
what
We're
the chances
looking at
are.
their overall financial rapport, what they own, how much they're making, what assets they have, and we can dictate basically what kind of terms we can get on a settlement because we know what the bank is going to ask us when we go and negotiate with them. They're going to want to know, basically, can our client pay that debt off?
And that debt, correct me if I'm wrong, but it has to be paid. You can't do payments of $50 a month for the next 30 years.
No, right. It's a lump sum.
Yeah.
You got to have the money, ready, willing to go. You got to write that check.
Yeah. So don't be calling if you got a $100,000 second and you want to make payments on that $5,400 for the next 30 years. You got $5,000, you can pay it, but you're eliminating, thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. And if you don't have the $5,000 and they're offering you $5,000 to settle your $100,000, find it. Go out and find it. You can find it.
You can find it very easily.
$100,000 second. I'm sure you can just look in your pant drawer or something.
Yeah. I told a listener the other day, he called me and he was paying 155% interest. 155% with cash call.
Isn't that usury? I mean, I thought
no,
there were
because they're a
laws
bank.
designed to.
There are in the state of California, it's 10%, unless you're a bank, and then it's unlimited.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. 155%.
How do I become a bank, Rodney?
I actually looked into that. You got to have $1 million in cash to open up your own bank. $1 million in cash. So he was paying 155% on a $1,000 loan, and his payment was $350 a month. And he goes, "I don't have the money." I said, "Dude, do you got a big screen TV?" He goes, "Yeah, I bought it, for Christmas last year." I said, "How much you pay?" $2,500. I said, "Take it to the pawn shop,
Right?
pawn it, pay off this loan shark loan." He's like, "But I'll lose money." I said, "You're already losing money at 155%. You're losing." So my point was, you can come up with $5,000 to pay off your second mortgage very, very quickly. I mean, you got shoes, you got watches, you got cars, lawnmowers, weed whackers, whatever you can come up with.
Right.
If you're going to save 95% of your debt without filing bankruptcy, you got to do it.
Yep.
So
No brainer.
if you got questions on that, or if you want to schedule your free consultation with Sean, give me a call, 888-900-3678. That's my direct line. I'll put you in touch with Sean. Just call in, ask for Sean. The answering service will put you right through. Again, it's 888-900-3678, or simply go to the website, badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, that's badcreditisAchoice.com.
Did you know 100% of all credit reports contain errors and mistakes? And these mistakes could be costing you hundreds, if not thousands, each and every year. Can you afford to throw away your hard-earned money? If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and your family to call Rondi. Rondi is an FICO certified credit professional that's helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 888-900-3678. Again, that's 888-900-3678. Or visit his website at badcreditisachoice.com. Again, that website is badcreditisachoice.com. When you reach out to Rondi, he's going to help you. Remember, the call is free and it's easy to have good credit. You're going to love what Ronnie can do for you and your family. Call him today at 888-900-3678. Again, that's 888-900-3678.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Your Credit Matters. I'm your host, Ronnie Lambeth, bringing to you each and every day what I think the banks, the credit bureaus, the collection companies, the mainstream media, what they don't want you to know about your credit, what they don't want you to know about your debt, what they don't want you to know what happens behind closed doors, and how you can legally and permanently discharge your debt, get a fresh start. Have your debt forgiven, just like your sins are forgiven. See, if you can file a Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you can get your debt forgiven. You can pay back what you owe, pay back what you can afford, but it allows you to start over and allows you to actually live a life that is contributing versus a life of fighting and struggling. So with that being said, I have my friend Sean Doan from the Doan Law Firm that come in today. Thanks, Sean, for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's always nice to come to the station and talk to you, Rondi.
You know, Sean, you and your family have helped, 35,000 people?
35,000 and counting.
Counting. You're the number. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're the number one filer in San Diego County.
I am the number one filer.
You personally are the number one.
My office. The offices that I kind of overlook.
Here's why that's important, is there is a huge difference between an attorney that practices law, that passed the state bar, that filed a bankruptcy for a client. Because here's what I see happening is these attorneys are going to law school. And, they rack up a bill, $50,000 to $200,000. And they got to go somewhere. And the first point of entrance, the first thing that they do is they're thinking, well, there's all these bankruptcies. I can just get into that game. It's kind of like getting your real estate license. You can just get in and I want to make all this money filing bankruptcies. I mean, is that what you're seeing?
That's the notion today. I mean, it's like the whole loan modification debacle all over again. The economy's bad. Everyone's hurting. Let me be bankruptcy attorney and get in on it. And you know what? You cannot make money in this industry and being a bankruptcy attorney. It is so hard to do because there's so much work to do on each case that unless you're good and you've actually established yourself and you have relationships with the court, the trustees, and the big banks that you're basically representing your clients against, you're going to be spinning your wheels, losing money to file bankruptcy cases.
But they get into it because they think there's this fast cash, that it's a easy thing to get into. And really, they're doing a disservice. I talked to somebody last week. I sent him to your office. He actually paid an attorney a couple $1,000s up front to help him with his bankruptcy. And then the attorney filed bankruptcy and went out of business.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah. And now he just lost. I mean, it's bad enough that you got debt. You pay the attorney, and then the bankruptcy attorney files bankruptcy on you.
Right. Yeah. You really want to vet out your bankruptcy attorney. If you're contemplating filing bankruptcy, there's a lot of them out there. If you Google San Diego bankruptcy,
there's tons of them.
1 million pages of bankruptcy attorneys.
And not all of them are created equal. Not all of them can say, I'm the number one filer in San Diego, which you can, because you are helping more people each and every month than the rest of them out there. And it's because you're trusted. It's a trusted family name. Your family's been in business for over a decade. And this is all you do. This is your business. You're not dabbling in bankruptcy and dabbling over here in this and dabbling over there in that. This is exactly what you do each and every day.
It's my passion, Rondi, and I love it.
I think it's your ministry because, off the air, I know that's what you talk about. You help people get out of debt. We
save lives.
Save lives.
We literally are saving lives, getting people out of debt, stopping suicides, violence, all that stuff comes out of debt.
You prevent divorces. You prevent families from being ripped apart over a silly divorce over stupid credit card debt. The number one reason for divorce is credit card debt.
Right.
And you can legally permanently discharge that debt through federal court system as a Chapter 7 or 13 bankruptcy. So, on an earlier show, we were talking about how to strip a second mortgage. And that's really relevant right now because 50% of the homes in San Diego are either upside down or distressed properties. And a lot of people own homes here in San Diego. They'd love to own it, but they don't want to do a short sale. And that's a lot of options to get out from that under that debt. These real estate agents on TV, on the radio, they're saying, get rid of your property, get rid of the most important and the most expensive investment of your life, your home. Get rid of it by doing a short sale. Well, what happens? I don't want to move. I'm happy. I don't want to uproot my family. I don't want my kids to go to a different school. But you have an option to get rid of that second mortgage, strip it from the property, stay in the home, and pay back what the property's worth. So how does that work? How do you strip a second mortgage or third mortgage from a property?
Right, and that just might be what that homeowner needs to make it make sense to stay there. If only the second mortgage, if I didn't have that extra $1,000 a month payment or $500 a month payment, I could live here. I can take care of I could even pay my credit cards off. But it's that second mortgage that I took out 5 years ago when I built the pool or did the landscaping or paid off some debt. You can eliminate that in Chapter 13 if it's upside down, meaning the value of your home is at or below what you owe on your first mortgage. So it might sound a little complicated, but it's not. An example clarifies it. Say your house is worth $500,000. If you owe on your first mortgage $500,000 or more, your second mortgage is completely unsecured, and you can remove it. You can actually remove that lien through the bankruptcy proceeding.
So I want to back up a little bit because I get a lot of these phone calls for you, and then I refer them off to you, and people will say, well, it's not unsecured because it's secured against the home. But it is unsecured because the home isn't worth what is owed. So it's technically and legally an unsecured debt.
Right. And the way it works in bankruptcy is we bring a motion to value the collateral being the home. We're motioning the court to say what the value of the home is. Okay, it's worth $500,000. Now we can look at all the claims. If there's a lien against it, are you secured or unsecured? If you happen to be a second and the first is at or above what that value is, if you're a second, there's nothing for you to attach to. You're unsecured at that point, and it's a determination that the bankruptcy court makes.
What's really unfortunate about this, and I'm so glad to have you part of the show and in here, that with my business, I help people that have bad credit. And the majority of my business comes from attorneys. And I literally will talk to the bankruptcy attorney, and there's a few questions I'll ask them when they refer clients to me. I'll say, have you ever stripped a mortgage? And I have so many bankruptcy attorneys out there that say, well, you can't strip secured debt. And there's so many bankruptcy attorneys practicing right now in the county of San Diego that don't know how to do this. And that's how you're different than them. You have to file a motion to strip it. It just doesn't happen automatically.
Right.
You have to do something.
You have to do a lot of somethings.
And is this something that's taught in law school?
No, it's not taught in law school. There's local rules that you got to be aware of on how to file these things, who the party is to serve. So it's a
This
process.
is from experience. This is from being the number one filer in the state. Let me back up. This is from being the number one filer in San Diego County.
Experience.
You get the experience, and that's what it's about, is experience. It relates when I talk about credit and people talk about their credit files, I always compare that to a driving record. A 17-year-old driver has a lot less experience generally than a 45-year-old driver. And if you were going to ask for advice to how to drive across the country
or a ride,
you don't go to a 17-year-old kid and ask him for advice because he's had his license for 1 month. You go after someone who's been doing it for years and years and has helped thousands of people.
Who has seen every situation imaginable.
Everything out there under the sun, you've seen it.
Done that, has seen it.
And so you know how to address it.
Exactly.
When I was a fireman, I remember my very first call that I went to, and my captain had to remind me that this is not our emergency. You need to calm down because in 15 minutes we're going to go back to the fire station. And then I would see as time went by with new rookies where they'd freak out. And I've seen that with attorneys where they freak out because they don't know how to address the problem because it's the first time they've seen it. With your law firm, you've seen it all.
They call us at that point.
Yeah. You've seen it all. And so there's nothing that's going to shock you, nothing that's going to freak you out. So if you're listening to the show right now and you have questions about how you can legally strip a second mortgage from your property, legally get out of debt in the next 100 to 120 days, how to avoid foreclosure, save your family, save your marriage, you got to give Sean a call. You can call the direct line, which is 888-900-3678. That's 888-900-3678, and I'll put you in touch with Sean. Or you can call his number, 760-479-5622. Again, that's 760-479-5622. Or simply go to the website, badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, it's badcreditisAchoice.com. I'm your host, Ronnie Lambeth, bringing to you each and every day what the banks don't want you to know about your credit. The government doesn't want you to know. They want you to be enslaved to the banks. And I'm bringing the truth each and every day, and it's a truth that's going to set you free.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel knowing that if a bank or credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it, and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and yet 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO-certified credit professional that has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 888-900-3678. Again, that's 888-900-3678. Or visit his website at badcreditisachoice.com. Again, that website is badcreditisachoice.com.
The preceding program was sponsored by Your Credit Matters.